here we go. I'm sorry, and is responsible for development and administration of SWANCC community and school programs that focus on preventing waste and toxicity through resource reduction, recycling, composting, or safe disposal. She further coordinates SWANCC's public outreach and develops the agency's resources. Mary has received numerous state and national awards to recognize her leadership in program development, including the Distinguished Service Award from the Illinois County Solid Waste Management Association for her contributions to the management of solid waste in the state of Illinois. Over the year, Mary has served in a variety of professional boards and councils and is frequently invited to speak at state and national conferences. She's a founding member of the Illinois Food Scrap Coalition and leads the coalition's monthly meetings, as well as participates in the Waste Food Action Alliance and the Illinois Task Force for Recycling Contamination Solutions. Ellen has a Bachelor's of Science degree in teaching from Florida State University, and in 2011 earned a LEED Green Associate credential from the U.S. Green Building Council. So thank you very much, Mary, for being here with us.
Thank you very much, Bea, and the opportunity with Evanston Library webinar to be part of this. And thank you all attendees for being here, for your interest. Everything we buy and use comes from a resource our earth provides. And when we buy less and use less and recover more, it conserves water, energy, natural resources, as well as reduces landfill and greenhouse gas emissions. It's my hope today that you'll gain a better understanding of the importance of reducing waste and why curbside recycling programs have limitations, and then recycling right matters. Bea mentioned that SWANCC is an intergovernmental agency comprised of these 23 communities. I've highlighted Evanston. The agency came into existence in the late 80s, and we continue to oversee and manage solid waste from households from this region, from our transfer station to the landfill. We do not own it, but we manage that, as well as provide many special material programs and resources for you to divert as much as possible from going to the landfill. Because as we know, it's important, really important, to have sanitary landfills and ways to manage waste that can be harmful to us, to our water, to our land, through the transportation and collection and burial of garbage. But there are numerous resources each and every day that are thrown away that, had somebody just taken the moment to say, could I have prevented this waste? Could I have reused it? Or could it be recycled, repurposed? We'd have much less in our landfills, and that has a positive impact. So just because we can throw something away doesn't mean that we should. And the most power a consumer has is with our choices, to rethink that whole, do I need it? Can it wait? Can I borrow it instead of buying it? Or if I buy it, is it durable? Will it last a long time? Can it be reused, refurbished, repurposed? And then recycling is a piece of sustainable materials management, but it's not the key thing. As you can see on the pecking order here, it comes at the end. It's just a piece of the overall solution. And it's recycling not for the sake of recycling, but to achieve an environmental outcome. So reduce and reuse, not making waste in the first place, is even better than recycling and composting. So as consumers, we make choices every day. Let's say yes more often to waste free. A good place to start is when we make purchases, to make them durable, to look for reusables rather than single use, and to be sure that when we are going to the store or when we're going shopping, to bring our own bags, and even the small produce bags instead of the film bags, when you're at a store that allows you to pick your own fruits and vegetables rather than being prepackaged, or shopping local at our farmers markets. There are wonderful things in store moving forward as far as trying to get reusables into restaurants for consumers rather than generating a lot of single waste packaging. And Bea, I have this picture here of Washington School. I've worked with Bea in District 65 schools for a number of years to institute grants and waste audits. And this is something that she purchased on behalf of a SWANCC grant for Washington School. So when they had parties and when they had gatherings that they didn't use single use, all this greenware is plastic, preserved plastic that's been made from recycled yogurt containers. And that gets taken back to the high school, washed in their commercial dishwasher, and then brought back to school. That's a huge effort on Bea and others' behalf at the school to go through that whole process. But it's awesome because it's so much less that they have their waste-free parties and their waste-free gatherings instead of single use that just is surmountable and winds up in the landfill. Let's Shed the Plastic is an initiative through the Shed Aquarium. You can go on their website and take a pledge to stop using straws that are plastic and other initiatives, as well as cut out cutlery is a way that when you do order out to say, hey, I'm eating at home, I'm picking it up. Don't include forks and spoons that are made of plastic. Don't include paper napkins. Don't include the little packets of ketchup or condiments that barely have anything in them and wind up all over your shirt anyway. Just say, no, I don't need any of that. Not only will it save them money, but it will save resources from being thrown away unnecessarily because you really don't need them if you're eating at home. And there's two companies right now, Dispatch Goods and Deliver Zero, working with restaurants in California and New York that might be coming to the city of Chicago, to where if you're a customer, you receive your food in reusable containers that you pay a small deposit for. And when you're done eating, you return those containers that get washed. And again, it's really cutting down on single use. And the impact of single use is surmountable. I was making this slide for a presentation I gave this week for District 65 sixth graders on problematic plastics. And I didn't mean to do it, but once I got the slide compiled, I sat back and I looked at it. There is only one thing on this slide that can be recycled curbside. You're right, it's the Coke bottle, but that bottle needs to be emptied and the cap put back on before it gets recycled. Everything else is landfill. There are over 30 types of plastics that our goods come in, but sorting facilities at best with technology can only process 4 or 5 of those 30s, which is why there's limitations to what can be put in the cart and what can be sorted and what can be sold to market. Overall, less than 9% of what we generate is recycled. Plastic litter is also a problem in our environment. It's a global issue, but we have the beautiful Lake Michigan that surround us and other lakes. So even locally, plastics negatively impact our environment, our ecosystem, and even our food chain. Nearly 300 million tons of plastics is generated each year to produce plastic products, but only half of those, or half of that 300 million is for single plastic that get thrown away. And more than 9 million tons of plastic ends up in our waterways each year on a global level. And unfortunately, wildlife can't differentiate between small pieces of plastic and food, and unfortunately die sometimes because their stomachs aren't empty, but they're full of man-made materials. When big plastics enter into the outdoors, the ultraviolet rays of the sun will make it brittle and fall into small pieces known as microplastics. So the small chips you see even become teeny tinier. And in recent studies, microplastics are even found in our drinking water. Recently, it was in a journal that I read that scientists say humans consume about 2,000 plastic particles every week. equivalent to the size of a credit card. And it's not just a water issue. Camels also are finding plastics in the desert, eating them and dying because, again, their stomachs are full of plastic and not of nutritious food. So reducing our waste, saying no to single plastic will have tremendous positive impacts on our environment, on our pocketbooks, and as a society to change our behavior. And then comes reuse. Reuse is looking at something we already have and finding ways to repair, repurpose, or donate to extend its life. And I have right in the center here, Bea, from Evanston Township High School hosting the repair clinics. Evanston hosted several of those, and until COVID knocking everything that was normal out of the park, hopefully as we get back to in person that we'll see some more of these. Wilmette actually tried to do one, looking at Evanston's leadership, and hopefully other communities will follow suit as we can open things up and be back in person again. Adam Minter is the author of this book, Secondhand. And he says that secondhand is a trade that should be celebrated. Globalized trade and secondhand goods evolved all on its own, connecting those who have stuff with those that don't. So donations are powerful. And again, COVID really knocked this on its butt. A lot of the places were closed for a long time, and a lot of us were at home and had extra time to clean out. So unfortunately, many of those clothing items and home goods found their way to the landfill instead of a donation center. Things are changing a little bit. SWANCC has 7 communities that have instituted the Simple Recycling Program, which is a curbside pickup program, because what we're finding, the US EPA tells us that there's still in the landfill, 25% of that are textiles and shoes. So there's still a lot more to recover. And through this easy curbside program, they're being able to collect even a higher amount and divert that landfill. As I was walking in my neighborhood, a lot of you have seen the little libraries pop up on neighbors' lawns. The other day I saw one for puzzles, and another one for children's toys, small baby toys. So this is a wonderful way to exchange things that we have that others might need and we don't need anymore. And this big old shark right here is an exhibit called Washed Ashore that's traveling around, where the artwork is made from repurposed plastics found from ocean waste. SWANCC has a reuse and recycling directory on our website that will guide you to many of these places to find outlets for items that you have for donation. So reduce and reuse are still the best way to minimize and prevent waste and recover resources. And then comes recycling. Let me just give you kind of a state of where we are with recycling. For several decades, US recyclers exported almost 70% of what Americans generated in their carts to China and other countries. Unfortunately, many of those shipments of recyclables were mixed with garbage and other non-recyclable material known as contamination. And in 2018, China shut the door to exportation with their national sword policy, and other countries have followed suit. So what that left America looking at was a lot of materials with no way to move it, kind of drove down market prices for a short while. And then to have to take on the responsibility here in the United States of utilizing our own recycling materials and developing our own infrastructure. So that's not going to happen overnight. There's not one easy fix for this, but there's a lot of organizations and stakeholder groups that are working together right now to find a way to fix our flawed system. Oops. So I wasn't quite finished before I hit that mark. So let me just go back. So as our domestic markets are being regrouped, technology still has to be accelerated to be able to handle some of the materials that are out on the market. So for now, it's really important to stick to the list of acceptable materials that I'm going to be going through with you, and not to wish cycle, not to put things in your cart that you think could be recycled just because it says it's recyclable or made of plastic. The best thing is to go for quality, not quantity. And when in doubt, throw it out. The 4 words I'd like to just embed in your brain right now is empty, clean, loose, no plastic bags, and dry. Close your lid so the materials don't get wet. And here's just a short video I'd like to share with you that I was part of making a couple years ago for Earth Day. It's very short, and if you'd like to see something a little bit longer, I've just updated the agency's Recycling Right Matters video. It's about 11 minutes, and more of a presentation in itself to show you a lot of different facets of recycling, sorting, and reprocessing and end products.
What's wrong with this picture? Not everything can be recycled at the curb. In Illinois, recycling can be easy if you follow some simple steps. First of all, do not put recyclables in a plastic bag. Leave materials loose in the cart. All items need to be empty and clean. No food or liquid. Then, know what materials are accepted in your recycling program. Just ask the local authority. Here are some guidelines to follow statewide. Metal. Steel and aluminum cans and even foil can be recycled. Paper, newspaper, office paper, magazines, and flattened cardboard also can be recycled. Glass. Bottles and jars, all colors, can be recycled. Plastic. Bottles, caps on preferred, tubs, jugs, and jars can be recycled. Cartons. Make sure to ask your local authority before you recycle your carton. No tanglers, such as holiday lights, garden hoses, and hangers. No plastic bags. Recycle your plastic bag at a local retail store. No textiles or shoes. Donate instead. No explosives, needles, or bulky items. No food or diapers. Want to know more? Visit the Illinois Environmental Protection Agency's interactive curbside recycling website or contact your local recycling coordinator.
So this is a snapshot. As part of that video, it was part of a stakeholder group that I've been involved with the last 3 years called the Task Force for Recycling Contamination Solutions. Government just never makes it easy with having short names. Sorry about that. But nonetheless, it was a stakeholder group of recyclers, sorting center operators, government, local, state, and regional. So we all came up with this one list to try and simplify and clarify for residents. So again, for plastics, it's bottles and jugs, put the cap back on, food-related tubs and jars. That's it. No foam, no film, no bags, no plastic bags. For glass, it's clear in any color beverage or food bottles and jars. For metal, it's steel. It's steel cans like a soup can. It also includes empty aerosol cans. Please make sure they're empty, no pressure in them. And then aluminum beverage cans, pie pans, and clean foil. For paper, it's a mixture of newspapers, junk mail, even phone books, magazines, office paper, cardboard, flattened, food boxes, flattened, that are non-waxed, and then cartons, yes. In Northern Illinois, the material recovery facilities or MRFs can handle cartons, and so you're asked to empty those, and when they're empty and rinsed, to put the cap back on something like the broth one. Empty and make sure your milk containers are rinsed out, and make sure that straws are pulled out of juice boxes. So this is very limited. It's about, again, quality over quantity. I also have just a little video to show you of what a MRF looks like and how these materials, once you make the conscious effort to have them empty and clean and only these few things in your recycling cart, where they go and how they're sorted.
The average American throws away 4.5 pounds of garbage each day. Our landfills are quickly filling up, raw materials are being depleted, and a huge amount of energy is being used to make products from raw materials. Our current recycling efforts in America are falling short. A basic understanding of how recycling works will make us all better recyclers. Let's go behind the scenes to better understand the recycling journey. Our journey begins at the curb on pickup day. The recyclables that you placed in your recycle cart are picked up by our driver, who then delivers it to our material recovery facility. Here, material is sorted by type. Once the truck is weighed, our driver dumps the material. The material is loaded in our drum feeder. The drum feeder distributes the material evenly onto a conveyor belt. The material then makes its way to the first sorting station. Workers sort through the materials to remove items that cannot be recycled at our facility, like plastic bags, toys, and electronics. Next, rubber stars rotate to separate cardboard from other recyclable materials. Additional screens help the flow of material by sending paper over the screen and containers below. Workers remove any remaining non-recyclable items. Paper and cardboard is then sent to our baler, where it is compacted into large bales. Now that the cardboard and paper has been removed and baled, let's sort the remaining material. Glass pieces fall through our fine screen and make their way to the glass collection area. As the containers continue through the system, the tin cans are pulled out using a magnet. The rest of the containers are sorted using one of our T-Tech machines, which looks at each container and separates it by type using bursts of air. Aluminum cans are separated by what we call an eddy current. The eddy current is a special magnet which repels the cans into their own storage container. Once sorted, material is sent to the container baler, where separate recyclables are compacted into bales. Bales are loaded onto trucks, which transport the materials to various facilities to be transformed into new products. Together, with proper recycling, we can each continue to save landfill space, conserve energy, and protect our planet's natural resources.
And as a reminder, when you choose to put your materials in the cart that are the correct ones and they're sorted and they're sold to a manufacturer, they get made into new products, which reduces the need for extracting raw natural resources, whether they're renewable or non-renewable. Recycling does benefit our environment. Product manufacturers and package designers are working towards keeping materials in a continual loop to make new products known as circularity. So there's less waste and more use for some materials that we have. So I look forward as technology changes to have, if I come back next year, I will have probably new information to tell you about what can go in your cart and how it's separated, because that's how things move forward. Slowly, but better. There are programs for, I call it unique recycling programs for materials that have recyclability or recoverability, but they can't go in your curbside cart. And there are recycling programs for plastic bags and film and outside cleaner bags. Through Trex Lumber, it's an American company that works with places like Target and Walmart and Jewel and Mariano's to buy their plastic bags and film that residents like you and me, their customers, drop off if you have them. And they turn it into a wood substitute, a plastic for lumber for docks and decks and benches and furniture. It's really some really nice products that they make. Additionally, Planet Green Recycling, if you have at least 4 cartridges from your printer at home, they will send you a postage paid label for you to mail those ink cartridges to them that they refurbish and sell at a discounted price as compared to what you would pay at Staples or Home Depot, or not Home Depot, Office Max or Office Depot. They also have for nonprofits, if you collect the ink cartridges in a box, they will actually pay you some revenue for those ink cartridges. And I'm careful to say ink cartridges because they don't deal with toner cartridges. There's a difference. So that's something, and SWANCC has information about all of these programs on our website in the reuse and recycling directory. And then TerraCycle has been a huge, they started with worm castings to sell the worm tea to Home Depot years ago when I first got started with SWANCC. And it has become an empire of send us your junk, your trash, and we will figure out a way to reuse, repurpose, or recycle. So they actually work with manufacturers to try and get the material back into the loop of circularity. And they have zero waste boxes with all kinds of things that you can request. Either some are free, some are at a cost. That you can set up. You can set them up in your places of worship. You can set them up. I know the city of Evanston and schools have different collection mechanisms for some of these special materials. And be mindful where you shop, because many of the brands like Patagonia and Nike and H&M have take-backs in their store for their products that get recycled and turned back into new products. So again, there's more information at SWANCC's website if you'd like to go there to find out. And what is that website link? It is swanc.org, SWANCC. Make sure you use CC, otherwise you will get something completely different. And on that website, we have just redesigned how things are laid out, and hopefully it's easier to navigate. We have videos, informational videos on how to manage special materials from your household, electronics because it's the law, and again, a couple of recycling videos and at-home composting videos. There are a lot of brochures and guides for you to be better stewards right in your backyard. And then please like us on Facebook and Twitter, or sign up to receive our monthly e-list so we can communicate with you to give you information in a timely fashion. And because it's Earth Day, it's the 51st Earth Day. It's a day to celebrate, but we should not limit what we do for our Earth and its longevity just one day a week. It should be every day. So this calendar is, Bea, are you putting this in the pack? Or if not, it is accessible on our website to where it gives you tips for 35 days. There is no month to it. It can be any month, because every day we should be doing something nice for our Earth. And on the back, it has recycling guidelines. that you can look at that I showed you with other information. And acting locally certainly has positive impacts globally. I want to put just a quick plug in for, because I am the founding member of the Illinois Food Scrap Coalition, and the early part of May is International Compost Awareness Week. We are providing webinars from Monday through Friday, April 3rd, or Monday, May 3rd through May 7th, lunch and learn from noon to 1. You can, if you register, you can attend one or you can attend them all. And there's more information at illinoiscomposts.org. So lastly, I want to thank you for doing what you do and encourage you to try and find more to do each and every day, because we all need to come together at the same time to move forward with the education and the technology that we're aware of to produce materials that have less toxicity in them and that can be recovered. So that will ensure a sustainable world for today, tomorrow, and for future generations to come. So individual efforts collectively do make a difference. And thank you very much for my time today, Bea. And I will open up the time that we have left for any questions that
Yeah,
you might have or comments.
there are a ton. So I'll be as fast as possible. Okay, first one, Daniel asked if you will share these slides.
I'd be happy to.
You can just send them
Can
to
I
me
just
and I
send them
can
to you?
yeah,
Sure.
I'll send it to all participants.
Mhm.
Okay, Joel asked, and it's been 2 or 3 people have asked similar questions. Any idea for fabric recycling destinations for rags, cloths, fabric scraps from quiltings, soiled items? I guess that's different, but yeah, other people have asked about like old clothes that you cannot really donate.
All right, so if you have stained t-shirts, which we all do, and especially if our kids play sports, or if you have socks that are torn. So if you put those in a bag and you give them to, you drop them in a textiles box or you take them to Salvation Army Savers, there's actually a pecking order. There's people that sort through all those things. And there is a sub-industry where the inferior cottons will be made into scraps that will go into, you know, filler for dog beds and certainly for rags. So indirectly, if you put your things in a bag, they will find their way to that industry that will recycle the scraps.
Okay, I think Rachel wanted to say something. Oh, I'm sorry.
Thank you. Thank you so much, Mary. This was a spectacular presentation. And I just wanted to, a number of things you mentioned are connected with programming that's part of our Earth Week for Everyone. So I just wanted to highlight just a few of those if I could. So tomorrow at noon, we have Andrea Densham of the Shed Aquarium talking about reducing plastics, and they've got, you probably know more about what she's going to say than I do.
That's great.
And Maya Techley of Dispatch Goods. So they are actually trying to move things to our area. And then Liam Engel, who's the sustainability fellow here in Evanston, talking about what's happening on the city level. I'd love to think about things we can ask Liam to be pushing for, you know, in terms of textile recycling and the like. And then in the afternoon, we have a composting session with Mary Beth and Erlene from Collective Resource, and a piece on the circular economy from Michelle Redfield. And then, yeah. So I just
nice that I got to be the first one to kind of, because there are so many facets to this, to know that you are going to hone in, so everybody come back and learn more.
Yeah, and you have the link.
I dropped the registration link. Yeah, thank you.
Thanks,
Wonderful.
Rachel.
Great. Yes. Okay, so Karen asked that in the video there was a Ready Whip, a light container for metal recycling, and is that if it had a plastic sprayer head, if that can be recycled? So
unless it's a cap put back on a bottle or a jug, lids need to go in the garbage. Other than a metal lid from a glass jar, other plastic lids should go in the garbage, because like plastic bags that you saw, the star rotators, those little pieces of lids will get stuck and jam and clog and stop.
But what about the sprayer? It's like really attached to the whole
So
metal.
they deal with that. Yeah, so the little white things sticking up, all you need to do is make sure all the air is out of the aerosol, throw the lid away, and then recycle the aerosol can.
Wonderful. Okay. Lori asked, is the use of water to wash the bottles taken into account when gauging the value of recycling?
So there's ways to get water to rinse your containers that it isn't even from the tap. Or if it is from the tap, if you're waiting for your water to heat up, you can capture that, whether it's in your kitchen sink or in your bathroom. So you can have a pitcher of water just waiting for water to heat up. You can get rainwater from your rain barrel. There's ways to rinse out things, not even using your tap water.
Okay, Sylvia says that she's confused about caps. Do we include them when they're of different materials? For example, metal lids or glass jar, or like beer caps?
Okay, so with the glass, it's supposed to be 2 to 3 inches in diameter. The recyclers asked actually for 3 inches, but bottle caps do not qualify. So unless you can repurpose those, they go in the garbage. And again, the plastic lids that don't get put back on bottles and jugs go in the garbage. Lids from tubs and other jars go in the garbage.
Okay, another question. Do we have any communities relatively close to Evanston that have a foam plastic extruder to recycle plastic foam trays used for meats and fish, for example?
Unfortunately, Apt Electronics is the only one that has a densifier that I'm aware of, and they only take the white block styrofoam. Dart is the manufacturer of those food trays, and if you collect them and they're clean and don't mind driving out to Aurora, they have a sorting center outside their facility to where you can put those in a cart and they'll recycle them. Yeah. But it's pretty limited.
Yeah, I think
and Aurora is a far way to go.
Yeah, and Skokie residents do have access to styrofoam recycling, I think. So if you have, they don't?
Mm-mm.
Oh, I thought they did.
No, the number 6 plastic is not being recycled by recyclers right now. It's a niche program.
Okay. What else, Lori? How can we put more, I guess it's pressure, onus on producers to package responsibly? How can we achieve returnable deposit systems for bottles and cans?
That's an excellent question, because right now there's a lot of legislation in Springfield and also on a national level called the Break Free from Plastic Pollution Act. And it takes everybody working at the same time. So it's the extended producer responsibility of the manufacturers to make something that's easy to recycle, that gets recycled, to work with the MRF owners and operators to make sure that their sorting capabilities and technology can handle their product. But it's also us as individuals to make sure that we put things in the right place. And there is a bottle bill right now in the state of Springfield, as well as part of this Break Free Act on a national level, and also a ban on single-use plastics and styrofoam. The agency's stance on this, along with the Solid Waste Agency of Lake County, is to have one complete policy on a federal level, federal or state at least minimum. And that is to include all packaging, all containers, no deposit fee, because what happens is if you have a bottle or you have a container and you get charged 10 cents, that's what this new act wants to do on the national level. And then to get your 10 cents back, you have to take it to a redemption center. Some people don't care to do that. It's cherry picking from also the recycling program, which will increase curbside program costs. So why not just not have a redemption for it and just kind of package it all together and work that way? So the manufacturers are working directly with the recyclers, And then it makes it easier and it frees up money for our municipalities. So that is our stance on it. And you'll be seeing more information. I work with staff at the city of Evanston, along with all of our other communities. And when it comes time to educate board members and residents, we will give you the information needed to go that route. But it's probably not going to happen this year. Things in Springfield have been crazy because of COVID, but we're looking hopefully to push this forward by next year.
Okay. Okay, Joanna asks, where do you recycle batteries? I guess she means, well, there's two types. So if you can speak to both.
There's a lot of type of batteries, actually. So SWANCC has a program, but Evanston chooses not to be part of it because there's so many numerous batteries that come in. It's really a hard program for staff to manage and also transport to our recyclers. So there's a lot of pieces in there that are tough. So alkaline batteries, alkaline is benign to our environment, and alkaline batteries can be thrown away in the garbage. Lithium primary batteries that are replacing those alkaline for electric toothbrushes and other small electronic devices that we have in our house should be recycled because they're power charged, and even when they don't power a toothbrush anymore, they still have a lot of energy in them. So if you have a lithium and an alkaline, they look amazingly similar. The only way to know is to look at the label. So lithium primaries, tape the terminal or put a single one in a baggie. You can go to call to recycle /locator to find a store. But I can tell you that Menards, Lowe's, and Best Buy take back the lithium primary as well as any rechargeable battery for recycling. And those are the harmful ones that can spark fires.
Okay. Okay, somebody asked, would it be correct to say that pretty much no carry-out container for meals is recyclable?
Pretty much. There are some that are compostable, and I know Erlene will talk to this. However, just because it says it's compostable isn't always a container that's ASTM approved or BPI approved. That commercial composters will accept. So it finds its way to its landfill anyway. But in the cart, yes, pretty much any kind of single serve cup like Starbucks, Dunkin' Donuts, and any of the styrofoam or black plastic is garbage.
Yeah, okay. What to do with envelopes that are lined with plastic?
They can go in the recycling cart as is. When paper gets processed, that small amount of plastic will rise to the top, and they're able to get that residual waste, they call it, separated from the paper.
Okay, what about the ones that have bubble wrap inside?
No bubble wrap. Bubble wrap.
Okay, so you mean the ones that have the little window?
Yeah, I wish I had.
What about the ones that are paper outside and bubble wrap inside?
Paper outside, bubble wrap inside. Try and reuse them, or they're garbage.
Okay, yeah. Okay, what else? Wow, we have a lot. Is there an organization or effort working to, I think this one's similar to the other one, to get us away from single-use plastic beverage containers and go toward clean and reused containers?
So there's a lot of industry, and I can always follow up, or they can email me directly and I'd be happy to give you more information. There are stakeholder groups right now working towards a lot of different initiatives.
It's mary@swanc.org, right?
Yes, Mary@SWANCC, SWA.
I just put it in the chat. Okay.
Thank you.
Okay, Brian asked, can you please say a few words about hazardous waste like motor oil and paint thinner recycling centers in Cook County?
Yeah, so there are 4 I have on our website, all 4 locations. This is just a little handout we have, but there's 4 locations Illinois residents can take oil-based paint, lawn chemicals, cleaning chemicals, even CFL bulbs, gasoline, motor oil. One is in the city of Chicago, just off of Division on North Branch Street. One is in out in Naperville every Saturday and Sunday. One is in Gurnee by appointment only through SWANCC, and the other is way up in Rockford. So those locations are listed on the agency's website. Plus, I just updated our informational video on how to dry out paint and manage other household chemicals.
Okay.
That might give you some insightful information.
Okay, I think there's a couple more. Okay, a foil on top of yogurt container, recyclable?
Garbage.
Garbage. Okay, Terry says that she's read that plastic recycled material mostly has been shipped to China and they no longer accept it.
Right.
How much of our recycled plastic is actually recycled, I'd say downcycled into products?
So right now, it's still a small percentage. You saw what the recyclers want. They want bottles, basically beverage bottles, beverage jugs or laundry detergent jugs, tubs like a yogurt container, and a jar like a peanut butter jar.
Yeah.
So it's really limited. And if you recycle those, only those, they have markets domestically and a demand for those plastics.
Okay, but the lid, sorry. Go ahead.
Everything else right now is going in the garbage, and
Okay.
that's why there's a low recycling rate.
Yeah, but the lids, those yogurts that have a lid that like you can reuse, just like the container is white and the lid is white and has a number 2 recycling symbol.
No, leave the lids off.
Okay.
Even though it says it can't, it has the recycling number, recyclers are asking you not to look at the numbers anymore.
Okay.
So just caps on bottles and jugs and all other lids away.
Okay.
in garbage.
Okay. Sylvia says that there are collection bins for Dart, Styrofoam in Chicago, in Ravenswood Avenue in Glenview, ABT Electronics. So, okay. Do we need to remove paper labels on glass bottles?
No,
Okay.
that gets burned off and it's reprocessing.
Yeah. Okay, then what else? Shira asked, so when you say no takeout containers, are you saying plastic tubs like Whole Food has for bulk on Chinese restaurants can't be recycled? None of them, yeah. I think people, sometimes we don't realize that they're usually lined in plastic, even though you might think it's paper, it's lined in plastic. And there's
wax.
Yeah, okay. Okay, so to confirm, metal lids from glass jars are okay if they're 3 inches in diameter, even though they have a rubber ring attached? Yes.
That would be fine.
Yeah, and I think I might be missing because there's very many questions. Somebody asked about our books at the library, and you can drop them off at a bin in the east side of the library. There's a Better Book bin. Better Books, they do sell books online, and it's a couple of students, I think from Minneapolis, I think that started it. I purchase books from Better Books, so if you put them there, I might purchase them. So I think that's a pretty good option. And something I did wanted to mention to everybody is that this year with the city, we can do community cleanups. They don't have to be only the ones that are done at the beach. You can do your own cleanup, and you can pick up gloves and bags and the recycling guidelines for the city, which are very similar, if not the same, of course, as different images as the ones Mary used. You can come to the Robert Crown Library branch to pick them up. They're outside, actually they're outside of the library branch, so you can come to Robert Crown Center or the Ecology Center. We have black gloves that I guess you can reuse. Hopefully you wash them and you reuse them because they're cotton type, and plastic bags. And let me see if there's a couple more questions. Back to the caps. Okay, back to the caps. If properly sized, greater than 3 inches, separate or secured to container, even if they're of different materials, can they be recycled?
Only the steel. I'm talking only steel 3 inches in diameter that are on glass jars.
Okay.
The
Okay.
plastic, I know people don't want to, they want to recycle them, but you're better off not doing it because it's hurting the stream.
Yeah.
And it's hurting machines.
Yeah. 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 I always say that recyclable means that it has the ability to be recycled. That doesn't mean there is a profitable interest or just an interest or the technology. relatively close to recycle stuff.
That's
So
absolutely
always,
right.
yeah, always follow guidelines. And as you were saying, and I guess we couldn't go more into detail, that's since recycling is so complex, that's the importance of reduce and reuse. So I know I think that, like, the interest of like buying in bulk, of maybe buying materials that you know that are easy to recycle, such as metals, I guess, and paper, make it easier. And I don't know, let me see if there are any more questions. All of these, okay, Sylvia says again, separate or secure lids to container if different material? No, just, okay. Okay, this presentation is being recorded and will be posted on the city, on the public library's YouTube channel. So you will find it there. We're having Ann Nicklin, the next panelist is already here with us. So thank you
Yep.
very much, Mary. That was super interesting. I can't
Thank
see
you
that.
all for your interest, and thank
Yeah.
you, Bea, again for the
Yeah,
opportunity
no,
to
of
be here
course.
today.
Remember, I'll just put it again for those of you who did not get a chance to see it. Mary Ellen, the SWANCC website, and Mary at swanc.org. And do access the website. That April month map, like calendar, is there, and it's really fun for children and for adults. It gives you like tips for every day, and hopefully some of them will stick. Thank you so much, Mary.
Super, thanks. Bye-bye.
Thank you.